Okay, this week is all about the lost art of being conscious. I think reality has changed so drastically within the past 10 years. I mean, when I had my first phone and when phones were a thing, everybody had like their Nokia phones and all they did was call, like there wasn't all this other stuff that you had with your phone that made it impossible to like focus for an extended period of time. But that is like out the door now with, shorts and all these tiny little clips of content. This is how we're consuming things, is a constant tiny little hit of dopamine, which makes it very challenging for our students, let alone ourselves as adults, to retain focus on anything for an extended period of time. And that becomes problematic, right? It becomes problematic in truly understanding anything when it's fragmented, when it's out of context. It just doesn't, it's not structured in a way that creates a deeper understanding, a deeper awareness of whatever it is you're learning, right? And that makes it more and more challenging for us as educators when we're trying to develop content to keep our students engaged in the classroom. Even though a lot of states like North Dakota has laws to prevent students with their phones, it doesn't change anything in regards to like their ability to really stay focused in class for an extended period of time. If that's what they're getting nonstop out of the classroom, it takes time to, retrain your brain and to get to a point where you can do deep thinking, deep work again. And that's something that's going to be a continuous issue that we're going to face as parents, as teachers. And this week's article kind of goes over ways in which you can modify your teaching practice to hopefully keep students engaged for an extended period of time, right? Even these videos are like 10 minutes because that's the majority of focus even us adults have. And we want to blame kids all the time of they have issues with their phone. But if you go anywhere and you look at adults, you notice that their phones are in their faces 24/7 too for the vast majority of us, which is problematic. We are as receptive to that as our students are, as younger people are, and that just shows the degree of challenges we face learning anything, right? And that's problematic in regards to like how we consume news and our ability to understand what's actually being covered compared to how we process information and engage in content in the past, very recently, right? But it's drastic within the last 10 years. So let's look at traditional teaching models that we can implement in the classroom to help improve this issue with being conscious and actually being aware of the content that's being covered so we can understand it to a high degree of depth. Now, if you're ever in college studying teaching and learning, you learn about a bunch of different theorists, and some of them are things that you might align with as a teacher that you're going to implement in your future classroom because it really resonates with you, whether it be like Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory, John Dewey, place-based learning, Vygotsky's concept of culture in the process of teaching and learning, or Piaget's stages. There's a bunch of different theorists, but chances are you didn't learn anything about any indigenous models of teaching and learning. And this is one that I think is truly great. If you look at tribes of the Plains region here, a lot of the tribes have the medicine wheel as a symbol that reflects traditional teaching practices, right? And this video isn't going to give you an overview of the medicine wheel. There's probably better YouTube videos out there that does that. And it's going to vary from tribe to tribe, in regards to what those 4 directions mean, or even the colors per se, So think about it just in the context of we're taking an idea of a traditional teaching model and seeing how we can implement it into our classroom for addressing these current issues we have of students actually learning anything to a high degree of depth, or the ability to be conscious and focused on what is being covered. That's challenging, right? And typically, if you look at the medicine wheel, you have these 4 different directions. You have mental, which is like iconography, factual-based information. That's typically how we're seeing everybody teach in the classroom setting, and that's it. It's totally disconnected to any spiritual component. I know spiritual is something that can be problematic in regards to teaching because we have a separation between church and state, but think about it in terms of values and beliefs and integrating those into the content that you're teaching. You're going to have a higher degree of engagement, of care of what is being covered. emotional component, if we really touch base to the heart of it through like traditional stories and things like that, even if it's from an indigenous context or just the embedding of emotion, often that's with a story that brings the content to life. There's going to be more engagement because now it's resonating on a human level, right? Like we have beliefs and values that are connected with the content that we're learning. We have an emotional component, so it's not just factual based, because if that's all it's doing, isn't really resonating in regards to importance of learning, right? But if you connect those other two components, you're gonna have buy-in from your students with the content, and then they're gonna actually be like trying to learn more about it. So that phone becomes actually like a tool in which your students have to continue to engage in what you've covered, as long as it's meaningful, and that's how you bring meaning. A phone isn't really a problem. Like our kids are processing more information now than ever before from any other generation. They're learning a bunch. It just depends on if that content has value or it's brain rot or whatever they're calling it now, where it's just crud that's just rolling in shorts that the kids are just, zombie mode watching, right? But if you connect those other components, chances are your student will engage with what you're covering even outside of class. And now they have all these different tools where they're going to be able to process way more information than they had in the past, right? Because they literally have the world at their fingertips. And then physical component is some kind of physical process of the content where you have to build or construct base out of it. Like if you're going to consume to create. And I think that's something that's very understood within an indigenous context, that even when something has been made, whether it be an earth lodge, the Mandan Hidatsa of North Dakota, South Dakota along the Missouri River, would make these beautiful earth lodges, homes, and all the bark that they stripped for the logs for the wood then became the coals that would fire the pottery. Rock from sweat that was eroded and no longer used would be processed and used for the grog for the pottery, right? Like everything has a process, and you consume to create, and that consumption of creating is taking this content that you're covering and having to do something that connects all the physical elements of our senses. And that brings us to a real truth, the absence of your senses within content often brings you to false truths, things that you think are true that aren't. And that's a problem that we're seeing today in terms of news, in terms of what is happening in the world, in regards to like what we actually think about this other side of the aisle or my neighbor, when you're not actually engaging with your neighbor on a human to human level, right? So that is extremely important to have that as an element of what you're teaching if you want your students to understand it to any degree of depth. Now, if you look at the 4 directions, a lot of times elders, they'll do this naturally without even, I think, being cognizant of what they're doing, because they're raised in the culture that they carry is so ingrained in everyday life of how they see the world and thus how they teach. But I remember when I was first teaching how to make drums, chanchegas, on Standing Rock in one of the school districts, one of the elders there, we're kind of like pair team teaching, right? Like I was teaching how to make the drum, and then the elder was then going to talk about it and then make it, a higher degree of depth, right, of content. So anyways, the way I'm taught as a teacher, is not a good way to actually go about teaching content. And this was eye-opening for me, because when I was teaching it, I was chopping it up, right? I'm taking something that's sacred, Waka, like the drum, especially in Lakota culture, and I'm saying like, oh, this isn't correct, or this is too loose, this is too tight, this isn't centered, blah, 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 like chop, 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 because that's how I was taught how to teach, is to assess what isn't correct, right? Like that's what we do. You got -5 on that, a B, or whatever. Like that's what we do without even being conscious of it. And when the elder came in to do their part, what did he do? He went up to all the kids, shook their hand, thanked them for what they did and how significant it meant to an elder, to their people, and how impactful it is, all these drums in the community and the importance of it. He talked about the role the drum had in Lakota culture, stories behind the drum. He played his drum And basically when he taught and did it, he assessed it for what it was, not for what it wasn't, like what I was doing and how I was taught how to teach. And he connected all 4 of those components by singing and playing the drum, connected the senses. He talked about the emotional connection the drum had with the people, the values and beliefs of Lakotas and how that's reflected within the drum. And then the story behind the drum, the iconography, the history, factual based information. He did that all naturally, and the students, when there's an elder and they're talking like this, brings it so much more depth than what I was doing, how I was taught how to assess things. And that became impactful for the students and their engagement. So that's an example of like the different ways in which you're teaching, like you're honoring what was done opposed to what wasn't. And you're connecting these 4 different elements, which brings so much more depth within your content. So without talking more, because I'm at that 11-minute mark and we know how problematic that is in regards to retaining attention. Think about that in either the way in which you go about teaching to your children or your students when you're developing content, to assess it for, am I touching base on all 4 of these dimensions? Am I creating a depth of balance with the content that truly makes it engaging for our students to be fully conscious of what's happening to a higher degree of depth where they can retain focus for an extended period of time? Thank you.